Sometimes, if you stop, take a breath, and just listen, people will tell you everything you need to know about them without any prompting from you at all. I've shared on this channel before that during my time in the military, I was an Army interrogator. Many people think there are some special magical mind control psyop techniques that you have to know to elicit the truth. It's not true. Tell them anything you want to. Just don't tell them all the truth. How many of you can tell me what song that line is from? I'm sure a lot of you can, because the songwriter and the singer is in the news pretty heavy these days. Real quick, before we go any further, I want to be diligent, have some discipline, say thank you to everyone who continues to join us over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. Only $1 per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year. Fully refundable first 90 days. What's the difference? There's 292 videos over there, and believe me, the content is very different. It's gloves off. There are things we can show there we can't show here. Why? We partner with Vimeo. Completely different set of servers that store the videos other than what we do here with Google and YouTube. So there's a $1 level, there's a $5 level. Whatever you can afford, all of it's greatly appreciated. Those of you who are already there, down in the comment section, let people know. Would very much appreciate the sharing and the support. Makes a huge difference. God bless every one of you. Now, there are a lot of folks out there these days who are all sorts of behind Mr. Jason Aldean and his song, Don't Try That in a Small Town. Unfortunately, a lot of these folks have a very short memory about Mr. Aldean, and I'm really more about the decisions make the man. And you see this pretty little thing he's got on his arm. Well, it's not his original pretty little thing that he had on his arm. You see, he was married to this woman for, I believe it was 12 or 14 years, something like that. 2 kids, happy, wonderful career, a life most people would dream of, but it wasn't good enough. It was not good enough. No, you see, with a wife and 2 beautiful girls at home, he had to go chase a Charlotte Bobcats cheerleader. Now, there's some that might say, don't try that in a small town, especially in the era we come from, Gen X and Boomers and above. You do this kind of stuff, I think there was an old Colin Ray song. I think it was called Little Rock, on a Roll in Little Rock. Jesus would forgive, but a daddy don't forget, I think was the line in that song. You see, it's even cringe for a guy to see this, a man with that level of success to reach that amazing amount of support and finance, and he had everything. He had a beautiful wife, he had kids, and he had to push it. He had to push it, and he didn't feel guilty. He didn't come clean. Somebody got pictures. Here he is in a bar with his wife and kids at home, hanging all over this cheerleader. And she came out and apologized and all this, and everybody's forgotten about it. And some might say, Florida Maquis, can't you let bygones be bygones? Can't you just, this is water under the bridge. It's a long time ago. This song really speaks to a lot of America. If it was his first time around being disingenuous and being dishonest, I would probably say, okay, maybe gets past. She's a very, very handsome woman. But what if I told you Jason Aldean's biggest song, The Truth, is probably one of his biggest, if not the biggest song that he's ever put out, he stole from what can only be described as a legendary songwriter in Nashville, a real deal songwriter in Nashville. I'm sure a lot of people know the chorus of the song, The Truth. Just don't tell them I've gone crazy, that I'm still strung out over you. Tell them anything you want to, just don't tell them all the truth. Don't tell them all the truth. Now, if we look this up, guess what? Those of you who are really old like me, who remembers Tell 'Em I've Gone Crazy by Ed Bruce? Now, I'm sure a lot of you have not heard of Ed Bruce or have heard this song, but I know you've heard Ed Bruce songs. Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys was written by Ed Bruce, My First Taste of Texas. The list goes on and on. He was, God rest his soul, a songwriting legend and a consummate gentleman. When the song came out, he let it slide because it just wasn't worth it to him to go after him for the copyright violation, for the absolute unbelievable plagiarism that occurred. And they just let it go. Tell them anything you want to, just don't tell them all the truth. If you want to know the truth about my opinion of don't try that in a small town, we got a lyric thief, and we got what really is he stole from his wife and gave to this Bobcats cheerleader who is now his wife. You know, we see a pattern. We see a pattern. Besides, who can tell me who this guy is? You see, Tommy Lahren kind of touched on this idea a little bit. You see, the reason that she's saying that everybody's going after Jason Aldean is because he's reminding them of the quote-unquote mostly peaceful protest summer of love 2020. Have you forgotten? I hear people saying, we don't need this war. I say there's some things worth fighting for. What about a freedom? What about this piece of ground? We didn't get to keep them by backing down. They say we don't realize the mess we're getting in before you start your preaching. Let me ask you this, my friend. They took all the footage off my TV. They said it's too disturbing for you and me. You see, this was the idea. See, the left wants you to forget about the summer of 2020. Just like back then, they took all the footage off. They wanted everybody to forget about what happened in 9/11. It's the exact same thing, and this guy wrote a song about it. Now, this goes back, like I said, this is 20 years ago. But the reason I remember it is because 20 years ago, I still had a strange delusion that I could be a singer and a songwriter for a living. But I learned my lesson from Nashville, Tennessee, because Nashville, Tennessee at that time was full of guys and girls just like this. Nashville, Tennessee is one of the most fake, false, make-believe places. Hollywood has nothing on Nashville, Tennessee. It is a bunch of liberals wearing, and who was it that said this? She's an African-American conservative. I can't remember her name. Country face, as opposed to like blackface. It's all a bunch of liberals putting on country face. I can't remember her name now. It just ran out of my head. Young African-American girl who's very, very conservative. But she described Nashville perfectly this way. So no, I'm not buying it. It's country face. It's country face. He's wearing, first of all, he's got 2 earrings and chains and crosses and all this kind of, sorry. Not buying it. Anybody who could do what he did to her. She's beautiful. She's absolutely gorgeous. Is she a freaking cheerleader? But does that matter when you have 2 babies at home? Don't talk to me about small town values, Jason Aldean. I don't want to hear it. You have shown a pattern. You have shown a pattern of being not who you say you are. And kind of funny, who remembers Las Vegas? Who remembers Las Vegas? Remember him being on stage during the event in Las Vegas when the round started flying? Did you see this cat turn tail and run like a little chicken? People falling down in front of him? You see, it's country face. Don't be fooled. Tell them anything you want to. Just don't tell them all the truth. Well, guess what, Jason Aldean, here at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel, or at the YouTube channel, and at the Patreon channel, we're going to tell the truth. We're going to keep the receipts. And we're going to show people who you are. None of this is what I've told you is made up. At all. The man had a career that most men could only dream of. A life most men could only dream of, and he threw it away for a cheerleader. He threw it away for a cheerleader. And the reason he was at that level, the reason he had made that rarefied air, is because he stole a song from a legend. He absolutely, completely ripped off the entire lyric and idea from Ed Bruce, 1984. That was the year. This came out, I believe, 1984. Tell him I've gone crazy. But he knew most of his audience, wouldn't be listening to early to mid 80s country music, especially from guys like that. And he knew he had probably a big enough PR firm. And the entire idea, by the way, of what Tommy Lahren said, that's already been covered. Already been covered. Have you forgotten? If it was up to me, I'd put it on TV every day. That part I agree with. I think we should put the summer of 2020 back on TV. Don't think they're not going to in the run-up to the 2024 election. You see, everybody thinks we're in election year this year. Oh, just wait till next year. You think you've seen a lot of election nonsense now in 23? Just wait until next year. Just wait until you see. It's all that you're going to see. They're going to put all the footage back, believe me. So, I know this probably isn't what a whole lot of people wanted to hear today, but you deserve the truth. And this is the case, and this is the reality. So, those of you who've joined us at the Patreon channel, you guys are very used to this. You guys are very used to gloves off. I did a little bit here today. Believe me, if this was a Patreon video, I'd have showed you a lot more about Nashville and about what goes on down there. And I could have mentioned Luke Bryan and one of Luke Bryan's biggest videos that put him on the chart that when you look at now, it's super cringe. You want to talk about trafficking? You want to talk about trafficking? Go look at a Luke Bryan video. There's an old one that he did. Shake It Something for Who? Basically, it's a cattle call of young women. So that very much looked like the one that pulled Jason Aldean away from his wife and kids. So, but we won't get into that. Thank you so much. God bless. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.